Hey folks, Quill18 here, and welcome to a brand new Let's Play for Football Manager 2019! That's right, we are right actually around the corner of the release of FM19. This is a beta version that is available to everyone who pre-orders, so of course, standard disclaimers may apply, things may break, some of the data might change, etc, etc. But I'm very excited to be playing Football Manager again. Couldn't quite find time in the schedule to play FM18, and part of it is I was trying to get away from, just playing Ayr United again. I was like, we'll start this game as Portsmouth. And don't get me wrong, very cool team, I think a lot of fun, but it never hardcore stuck with me. Plus, I had a couple of UI things with FM18 that were mostly resolved over a few patches that, tweak some of this stuff. But there was always something that a little bit off for me for some reason, I don't know. Here we are in FM19, and I, so far, am very impressed with it. I think there's a lot of great new game mechanics, a lot of great new improvements to the user interface. I'm really, really pumped to be playing FM19, and I'm also pumped to be returning to Ayr United. Now, this is an alternate universe. This is not the Ayr United we ran, right? This is a fresh start based on the current actual real-life roster and position of Ayr United. So there's going to be a bunch of new faces, and there's going to be a bunch of people that we got used to having around that aren't going to be here anymore because we never recruited them. Or in real life, maybe they were on Ayr United and then they've since been transferred away over here. But we're gonna do what we can. Ayr United in real life has had a rough time the last little bit. Like 2 years ago, they had a pretty rough time. They'd gotten up into the Championship League, but the problem is they had a real shortage of strikers in their squad. In real life, Craig Moore was a striker that they loaned to the team, and he got a concussion right at the start of the season. And he was out for something like 6 months or something crazy like that with the concussion. And basically, Ayr United had to deal with the fact that they effectively had no true strikers on the entire team. More or less was the situation. They certainly had no sort of super strong Championship League strikers. And as a result, they came in right at the bottom of the Championship League and got relegated back to League One. However, then what happened is they actually got Craig Moore, who was on loan. They actually contracted him proper as a squad player. He got over his concussion, so he was able to play. They did a couple more trades. They got some primo strikers on their squad, and they crushed the League One, coming in first and getting a automatic promotion back to Championship League. So we are in Championship League once again over here, which is going to be kind of fun. I'm trying to remember. In FM17, I guess FM17 we're playing this version of Ayr United over here, right? And then 18 would have been this one. Or the start of that season, the start of them playing in League One. Yeah. So we got the start of them playing in Championship League, and I think in FM17. I'm trying to remember, the timing might be a little bit off. I might be misremembering things. But anyway, here we are over there. Bitcoin Cash as a sponsor. That's crazy. Not Bitcoin, but Bitcoin Cash, the other variant. Anyway, we'll talk about digital currency some other time. So here we are, and I'm very excited to be running them again. So let's take a quick look. We're going to go through the standard sort of startup of a Football Manager career. We'll then talk about the changes to both our team as well as the changes to this game over here as we go forward. And yeah, this is a beta version. Currently, the release is set a couple of weeks after the day of recording that I'm doing here. And it'll be out at that time. But again, anyone can get the beta version if you pre-order. And I never, encourage pre-ordering, but this is a little different. What you're doing is you're sort of buying the game now, but, with the caveat that there's going to be a major patch in a couple weeks that might change some things. So here we are. Quill18 is new club manager. I did set myself to be born in Scottish. Apparently, I forgot to change my date of birth over here, so apparently I'm going to be 24 years old. Okay, a bit of a lie, but sure, that's fine. Maybe we can have a longer career. So unfortunately, we booted out Ian McCall over here to make room for ourselves. We get our welcome over here from the board. These are our wages over here. We've got a contract for a while. We will have a meeting with the board, certainly, so we can have a chat with Lachlan Cameron over here, the chairman. Welcome to The Honest Men. I'd like to take a few minutes of your time to welcome you to the club before handing over to your assistant manager, discuss stats, responsibilities, da-da-da-da-da. Great, let's get started. Excellent. Ayr United are a club with a lot of history. Yes, please send me the history of the club so we can take a little bit of a look at that. The club currently has no philosophies right now to judge us on. We will probably want to go and set up some sort of philosophy so that we can be judged on, but we're going to have to figure out what that will be. I think we can just manage without specific philosophies for now, and maybe we'll make some tweaks later on, or maybe we'll leave them out so we can always make any changes. Yes, we'll have a press conference. That's going to be okay. It's important just to get the initial relationship building with the press. Assistant manager. Yes, thanks for the introduction. Excellent. So here's an assistant manager, Neil Scaly, or Scully, who I think was our assistant manager 2 years ago as well. Yeah, we'll get summaries. That's going to be okay. Meeting with the rest of the staff. If we do this, it will just let us, I think, choose our responsibilities. Report on players whose contracts are expiring in the next 12 months. I think we can wait. Most players have their contracts expire in 12 months, and it's too early for us to do any real work for that right now. So I'll have to deal with the player's contract in good time. Okay, and responsibilities. I'm not going to go through these options to choose which aspects of the game I manage. I'll be doing it through another screen instead. So thanks for your help. By the way, if you're not familiar with the game, I realize I'm going a little bit fast here, but most of these buttons here don't really make any real changes. So we're just ripping through that so we can get to the true content in the game. So that's going to conclude that. We're going to do some board requests later on, but we'll get there when we get there. Okay. So tactics induction. This induction is basically a tutorial for the tactics system. It's actually a really neat way to introduce people to it. We'll just skip this tutorial mode of it, but it's actually, I was very impressed. It's easy to follow. It's quick. It's a great way for both new and returning players of Football Manager to learn the new tactics interface, which I think is a winner. I think it's going to be fantastic, but we'll skip that for now. Air new signings and transfer obligations. Recent signings, current obligations to the transfer market. Okay. So, all right, we got some ins and outs. We got a couple of people out on loan. We've got Ross Doohan in on loan from the Celtics. I think he's a goalkeeper. It doesn't say, but I'm pretty sure. And we've recently picked up Andy Murdoch, Liam Smith, and Daniel Harvey, for whatever that means. All right, we'll take a look at that soon. Injury update. Chris Higgins over here has a damaged Achilles tendon. He's going to be out for another 2 to 3 months. He's already been out for 6 months. Jeez. All right, well, there's someone who's not doing a whole lot for us. Responsibilities right now, we have everything enabled for us except for youth team training. And again, we'll probably do a few tweaks there. Scottish transfer window is currently in progress. We don't currently have a lot of money for transfers, so we may not be doing any real changes unless we can pick up a few quality free transfers. So we'll be looking at that, some free agents. Here's our background over here. We've been in existence since 1910, and indeed Ayr United was the unification of 2 different clubs. I don't know if it says that over here. But there were a couple of different Ayr clubs that united and became Ayr United. They operate out of Somerset Park, and we have adequate junior coaching, average youth recruitment, facilities 2.5 stars, only 1.5 stars for our training facilities, which is a little bit unfortunate. And I believe this is mostly going to be compared to other people in our league, so training might be a little rough, and that's something we would like to look at soon. So we got an overall report over the squad. These red ones are some of the things we need to look at a little bit more. Goalkeeper depth, because I think we've only got 1 contracted goalkeeper and 1 loaner. So that might be a little bit rough, especially if there's any more injuries. Overall depth, yeah, not that much. We might want to look at some backup, but we don't have a ton of budget for that sort of thing, so I don't know. A lot of complaints, but we'll probably resolve that as we go forward. Introductory advice. So some captain advice. We'll take another look at this once we get there. Penalty takers and everything like that. Yeah, we'll set that later on. That's going to be okay. And we get a prompt. Hey, maybe you want to visit the scouting center. We got our packages over here for money. We're going to take a bit of a look at the scouting center and make some decisions over there. Actually, let me get back to scouting at that point. Let's go and take a look at our squad over here to start off with. So yeah, we can see based on positions, for example, what the situation is. Only 2 goalkeepers. One of them is someone we have in on loan. Chris Higgins is injured. So currently we only have 1 left defender, is what it looks like to me. We have a bunch of centers. We've got a right over here. Michael Rose can play center or right, so that's okay. We've got 3 people who are listed as defensive middle. Now, are these ordered? Yeah, I think these are always ordered from back to front. I don't think they're ordered based on specialty. So these 3 over here that list defensive midfielder first might not actually be excelling in those positions, for example. Yeah, Mark Kerr is slightly more comfortable as a pure center midfielder as opposed to someone who sits a little further back. So it's a little deceptive over there. Still, we have a lot of people potentially who can play right up in the center, including some of these defenders over here. They've got some possibility to play center midfielder, one person with the right midfielder tag. Robbie Crawford, it does list right, left, and center, although it's unlikely that he's super strong in all those positions. He's actually not bad. Yeah, but really not great. So that's going to be something that's actually followed us, I think, since FM17. We really don't have a lot of strong winger candidates. So most likely we're going to be playing a tactic that's going to be a little bit more midfield oriented, like right up the center kind of thing. For attacking midfielder, we got Declan McCade over here, who does list right, left, and center. And he is actually comfortable playing right wing, like an attacking midfielder role, which is very interesting to consider. I don't think we've got many people for the left is part of the problem. So, I mean, unless we play something asymmetrical, it might be a little weird. Craig McGuffey does list him as a left as a possibility. He actually is not a bad left winger, to be honest. He's super comfortable being a striker. And of course, Craig McGuffey was one of the people we were most pleased with in FM17. He's currently, he's obviously continued to prove himself. Maybe if we focus him on training as a left winger, maybe we can consider something like that. As an alternative tactic. Maybe we can cross-train him to there while playing him as a striker for now. That's definitely a possibility. And then in terms of strikers, we've got 3 pure strikers, and Craig McGuffey, really, again, so we're talking about sort of 4 people who are focused as being pure strikers. And to me, that leans towards well, if this was still FM18 with the FM18 engine, we might consider like a triple striker comp, which was like game breaking. Like literally the match engine AI didn't really know how to deal with it, so it's really actually kind of abusive. So I don't know if I'll do the 3 because it's not very realistic and we don't know what this game engine can handle. Plus, even though it was mostly abusive, you'd still get trounced by people who are in a better position than you. And keep it in mind, we're going to be the weakest team in the Championship League over here. Our very first season is simply going to be to avoid relegation. That's going to be our goal as much as possible. So a 3 striker comp is probably a little ridiculous, even if it is still strong in this match engine. But a 2 striker comp starts to sound really, really good. We've got Lawrence Shanklin over here, who's quite good. Pressing forward is the new defensive forward over here. So he's a little bit more aggro about taking back the ball. He's also a good deep-lying forward. I mean, he's kind of good at everything over here. Very good. Craig Moore, again, who's one of these people we had on loan for a while, and then he had the concussion, was out for a bit. Considers himself to be a really good pressing forward, but he can do, advanced forward is just a generic kind of role, and that's good too. I'd want to see more description for the pressing forward and exactly what that means. More and more important in modern game. Main duty is to put pressure on the defensive line, chase down the man in possession and any loose balls, and generally prevent the opposing defense having any time on the ball. In an attacking sense, he tends to prefer to bring other players into the game rather than create his own chances. So, unlike the defensive forward, you can put the pressing forward on attack, but you can still put him on defense or on support over here. It is interesting that they don't look at something like tackling or anything like that as an important thing. He's, I guess, mostly just going to get in people's face. Craig Moore doesn't actually have a really good passing stat, unfortunately. He is fairly good at finishing. We might use him as a pressing forward, honestly, because it is a really good role for him. But in an attacking role is kind of what I can see. Do we have anyone who's like ideal as another pressing forward over here as sort of a target man? I mean, not great. You're not very tall. Jumping reach only a 6, so no. Lawrence, what were you at? 183 is not bad, and you're kind of good at everything. You could potentially play as like, part of the big man, small man kind of comp. Craig McGuffey is not all that tall either, so yeah, it leads to me thinking, and we had a discussion about this on stream, it leads to me thinking that we might use the advanced, or the attacking midfielder position as sort of someone to set things up. Alan Forrest has become particularly excellent. See, he's another decent right winger. Like, we've got 2 good options on the right wing. We really don't have anyone great on the left, is the problem. Although your right wingers can play as an inside forward, on the other wing, and especially with a little bit more training that might work. But he's quite comfortable playing in the middle. He's equally comfortable playing as the shadow striker or advanced playmaker. And so that's the sort of thing I'm wondering about. We could go advanced forward, pressing forward, shadow striker as our trio of attackers. It's sort of like playing three strikers, but a little less than kind of overtness. I don't know. We look at team dynamics over here and look at the hierarchy. Team leader is Mr. Moffat over here. Michael Moffat is apparently the team leader. First team, right, pressing forward. 34 years old. High value. What's your history, buddy? Came into air as a free. And sorry, who were you playing with before? Dunfermline, air. Oh, okay, yeah. So you're an old school air player over here. Natural leadership position. Our early team leader, Michael Moffat, is approaching the end of his career. Should he retire soon, will sorely miss his leadership. Yeah, I mean, if we can bring other people up into a leadership role, that might be highly valued. All right, let's talk tactics here. So this is a new tactics screen where you can choose a base tactical style as your inspiration to move forward from here. Now, probably we'll just go and create our own style, but it's worth giving some think as to these different ones and how we might like to play. We're probably going to have a narrow play, unless we decide to go with a something like maybe a 3-1 at the front kind of thing, right? Where we have 3 attacking midfielders and only 1 striker. That doesn't sound right, though. Again, we're going to be playing mostly against better teams with a lot more money. So I think we have to play one of the more defensive counter-attacking styles. I think is mostly where we're going to have to sit and think. You know, direct counter-attack. That might be the sort of thing. Or we sit a little further back and pass quite far ahead and try to set up chances that way. Catanaccio is like super defensive. Play for set pieces. I don't know about anything like that. So I think we'll probably end up doing something that's very much like a direct counterattack style, but I think we're going to build it ourselves. I think we're going to do something kind of like that. But let's create our own style over here, and we can choose a couple of things. Like we might start with probably something like a 4-4-2 diamond narrow, which 4-1-2-1-2, something like this. That's one possible formation that might work for us. And another that might be appropriate is maybe something like this. You know, so the midfielders sit quite a bit further back. We do have a lot of possible midfielders, and again, we don't know if we have good defensive midfielders. If we do a little quick pick, how does it sort of fulfill this? It's kind of workable. It doesn't make very good use of our massive amounts of strikers. That's the problem. If we go with something like this, we don't use our massive amounts of strikers, which is too bad. So yeah, Craig McGuffey's not a bad left winger. And I like the slightly deeper defense over here. There's a bit of weakness in the midfield, but I mean, if we're sort of if we go with a more direct passing style, especially dumping it out to the wings, that might be a possibility. And then the other setup is something that's much more like this. And I think this is much more the sort of thing I'm looking for. Can I change the mentality here? How come? Maybe I have to set something else first? That's strange. Anyway, I mean, so mostly we probably play narrow. I mean, on the other hand, like we might want to make these guys that exist a little bit wider, but I think this is attacking width. So one of the things in FM19, they've split the tactic in 3 categories: in possession, out of possession, and then transition. So this is when we're attacking. Yeah, we're really going to want to focus on a fairly narrow play because that's where people are, as opposed to encouraging these guys to move up too far up the wing. I think our defenders back here are going to have to be, we'll probably put them in a support role, but not super aggressive because we don't want to open up a bunch of space on the flanks that we're going to get caught on. I don't think we're going to do a pass into space kind of thing. I was going to say I'm going to increase the directness, but honestly, if we do this, there's a lot of room to just sort of pass along the middle. We don't have to bomb it in the distance or anything like that. I mean, focus play through the middle is really the sort of thing we're looking for. We're going to want to work the ball into the box because one of the things I noticed when I was looking at the team, we don't have a lot of people who are well suited to shooting from a distance. Even if we play Alan Force as a shadow striker, he doesn't have long shot capability. So we really wanted to strike from the very tip of the box basically, as opposed to too far away. We might want to do the run at defense. Because otherwise what can happen is these guys can get a little bit stuck. Whereas, we might want to encourage them to actually just run through the defensive line. I don't know. Play out defense is like, well, I'm kind of okay with the goalkeeper distributing it right to the middle, which is actually one of the in-transition things. I don't know if we're going to have a playmaker. Probably something like distribute to center backs, who will then distribute it forward up the middle, is the sort of thing we're looking for. I guess one of the big questions is, when we lose possession, what are we going to do? Are we going to counter-press aggressively and try to take it back right away? Are we going to regroup and pull back? Are we going to leave nothing in there and just keep it kind of generic? And when possession has been won, what sort of thing are we looking for? Counter and move forward very quickly, hold our shape, sort of middle of the road. I think we want to counter. I think we do want to go with kind of this counter style. Oh, now I can take a mentality. I guess I have to set something first. I mean, a cautious mentality with the counter might be the way to do it. Again, we're going to have to expect that we might be slightly, outgunned, offensively. And especially with the wings here, we don't want to have people overextend too much. But then when we get it, I think we've got to go and make some moves quite quickly. Then when we're out of position, so we might want to sit further back. Prevent short goalkeeper distribution. I think we want here. Especially if we're going to have a pressing forward, I think we're going to want to really kind of force them to have to bomb forward. Bomb the ball down and maybe not keep possession. We might want to sit further back, which is sort of a more typical kind of counter play style. But if we're not using direct play, like I think if we sit further back, we'd want to put in some sort of direct play kind of thing. And we could sit higher up, more like a gegenpress, but I don't know. I think I kind of like this. We might want to give more instructions as we go forward, but I think this is the idea that we want to play with. When we're attacking, we probably want like a fairly high tempo, if I'm going to be honest, though. I think we want fast counterattack. Stop them from being able to reform their defensive things, and use the fact that we can send the ball quickly up the middle like that. Deep lying forward's not bad. That is the default set here. I mean, Shanklin's really nice as an advanced forward, but he's also comfortable as a pressing forward. Deep lying forward, link the attack to the midfield, drop deep into space, hold up the ball before supplying. Well, that's an idea. We're going to have Shanklin as a deep lying forward. Or do we have a second person who's comfortable deep lying forward? Michael's not super comfortable. He's more comfortable as a pressing forward. Maybe we can give him some training. He's pretty old. He might not be comfortable changing his stripes. The thing is, the pressing forward, pressure and defensive line, chase down the man in possession, any loose balls, generally preventing the opposing defense having any time in the ball. Attacking stance, he tends to prefer bringing other players into play rather than create his own chances. With support duty, pressing forward will press the back line, put pressure on central defenders. Still a little lower on defensive midfielders. And on attack, will press the back line as usual, but in possession will look to score themselves. I think that's okay. And then we've got the role of, what does Alan Forrest play? Does he play as a playmaker and look to distribute the ball to McGuffey and Shanklin? But again, maybe on an attack, so he's still going to look to make his own plays. Or do we play him as a shadow striker? Take more risk, dribble more, get further forward towards the channels. If we play him as a shadow striker, let's take a quick look at what his stats might look like. If he's here, the shadow striker on attack, he's got like great dribbling, great finishing. I mean, for this tier of football, good first touch for getting it. He's got good passing too, so you can still redistribute it okay. Off the ball for sort of getting in the right place. He doesn't have the greatest positioning, but it's okay. If we looked at him as an advanced playmaker, yeah, I kind of like him as a shadow striker. And then if we're going to do that as an attacking shadow striker, maybe we make Shanklin, maybe we go more of a support pressing forward, which Moffat's also going to be super comfortable at. And even Craig Moore actually can be swapped in there. And as an attacking midfielder, we've got tons of options. So we've got lots of things we can do for swapping a substitute from the bench, and they're going to be very comfortable playing in this position. So the idea, what do we have? Box-to-box midfielder, central midfielder, we might have a change. I mean, we could have a ball-winning midfielder, but really having the defensive middle, you're going to see that kind of behavior anyway. Crawford's very comfortable as a box-to-box midfielder, so a lot of movement around. He might go a little wider over here, which is okay. I guess one of the questions is, what do we do with this guy? We could have a pair of box-to-box ones. We could go Carolero, which is sort of like a box-to-box midfielder, but goes a lot wider. And that's kind of interesting to consider. I mean, none of these guys are as comfortable doing that. And we are mostly looking at playing narrow, but we could have these guys play a little wider and basically go from the middle out to the wings, almost playing as a bit of a winger to set up something. Because we might actually be too crowded in the middle. That's one of the risks that we might see here. And maybe we're missing some opportunities on the flanks. Now, again, these fullbacks will be on support, so they can set up some things on the wings. I mean, we could just actually set them as wingbacks. This would encourage them to go quite a bit further up and wide. We'd probably have to tie in a different set of instructions. But since we're playing a very narrow midfield, I'm very leery about having my wings here being too aggressive. I don't think I like that at all. I think we are going to start with this. I don't think we're going to mess around with the 4-2-3-1 wide. Although maybe we can leave it as a tactic in here so that people can get some training in something like that, just the idea of it. Because let's say we lose a striker or two to, injuries or penalties or something like that, we actually might want to swap to using the wingers. So having some training on that would be good. We'll keep this as a primary tactic, so most of the training will go to this, which is going to be fine. I suppose there are no instructions over here for this bad boy. I think I still like sort of an overall kind of counter mentality. This might be a bit more of a distribute to flanks kind of idea, though. I think we still work the ball into the box. That's okay. Probably don't necessarily need to put any passing instructions here. We can keep that up, perhaps. Okay, just to have a little bit of similarity between the two. But I think this is going to be our primary. I think I'm pretty pleased with this. Now, in terms of training that we've got set up over here, new training system in FM19 breaks down each day into 3 bits, which is very cool. Your calendar, you can tune each individual one, overwrite each individual one. So here, instead of tactical, we click on this and give it a complete different training thing. So under the general category, you have overall, outfield, goalkeeping, then there's a bunch of other subcategories over here. I think I'll go ahead and leave the tactical here. That's going to be fine. These are the early season training schedules. This is our week over here. Wait, really? We're starting here? So we didn't actually start at the start of the preseason. I guess you do get an option for where you set the schedule. So they've already been doing some stuff, which is a little bit odd and unfortunate because it's going to be less time for us to learn our tactic, unfortunately. A lot of travel going on this week, too. And yeah, you can set this. So for example, this one here is preseason tactical early. If we go to schedules over here, preseason tactical early, and this is a week where there's 2 matches. So here we can see why it's automatically put in the schedules that is listed. We can override this, we can save over it, we can customize this behavior in tons of different ways. I don't think I'm going to do that much messing around with some of these. I'm feeling fairly confident that's mostly going to be okay. For our training schedule. Let's take a look at the next month. It'd be nice if there was just a next month button instead of pull down. Just 2 little arrows here to go backwards and forward would be very handy. So yeah, so these are generic, like, early season stuff. Lots of overall training. It might be worth putting a little bit more, like here, put in a little bit of more team bonding right there. So it's a little bit of extra workload that day, but then you've got a lighter workload this day before we go and face the frickin' Rangers. What the hell? I'm assuming that's a friendly. Yeah, it's still preseason over here, so there's going to be some of that. These are our units, the attacking versus defensive units. I don't think we're making any major changes. We'll have the assistant create some mentoring groups for us. So the assistant created 2 over here. So you can see in this situation, it's Mark Kerr and probably Liam that are mostly going to be mentoring Daniel Harvey and Michael Rose over here. And here you've got Michael Moffat and probably Alan Forrest that is helping to bring Craig McGuffey and Declan McCade up to speed. That's fine. I mean, we probably want to go and micromanage this ourselves at some point, but for now it's okay. It's interesting. So, you know, we got striker and wingers over here being taught by strikers and attacking midfielders kind of thing. I guess that makes sense. I think these are more midfielders, right? You're a midfielder. You're not a midfielder. So I don't know what some of the logic is for some of these roles, but we'll leave it there for now. Individual training, we can see how well people have been training. We can assign additional focus to people. Not been training enough of late to be evaluated. Yeah, well, we'll take a look at more of these, I think, as some things develop. The rest period, anyone who's less than 60% condition, we're just going to work you at half intensity. Anyone who's over 90%, we can probably do double intensity. We might want to change this once we get into the real season, but I think for now it's okay. We actually might want to do half intensity for a few people who are at lower condition over here, actually, so they can maybe bounce back a little bit, reduce injuries. I like that. Slightly different change to the coaching assignment screen, not too substantial. We'll be revisiting this in a bit because one of my first priorities is going to be to hire more staff. I think this is the last thing I'm going to do before we wrap up this very first episode over here. I don't like that we don't have a fitness coach, for example. That's really important. So we're going to start with that. We're going to go to staff search. We are going to, not condition right now, we're going to go to coaching attributes. So this is the fitness category. So I like to sort by that and then go look for someone. So we've got Dean Frost over here. He wants to be an assistant manager. I mean, he'd probably still be happy being a fitness coach. We might grab this guy, though. He actually wants to be a fitness coach. I mean, he is lower in fitness, but he's got higher man management over here. Which I think is also an important trait for being a fitness coach. Let's take a look. If we want to offer you a contract, you want to be under 18s. No, we actually want you to be the primary. Hold on. How do we overview? Fitness coach. Yeah. Fitness, motivating, level of discipline, determination. Oh, I guess the man management may not matter. Higher impressing organization, keeping people happy. Maybe doesn't matter as much. Still, I think I'm going to grab him. It's going to be okay. Yes, that's a change. We're just going to make sure to lock that in. We'll try to drop that a bit, maybe that a bit, and see. Ooh. You want a lot more money because you're going to be a primary one. Okay, let's drop it a little bit more, suggest, and we'll go with that. I'm going to be okay with this. What else is a shortage? We don't have a chief scout, for example. That seems like something we would really like. So let's go and take a look at mental attributes. Judging current abilities is probably the most important thing. You're at a club already and you're wanted. I realize you want to be an assistant manager, buddy. You actually do want to be a scout, but you're wanted by someone else, so there might be a bit of a bidding war. Ashley, if I were to try to get you director of football, we don't have one. That is true. We're really looking for a chief scout. Oh, and you want way too much money. Okay, never mind. We could go, tell you what, we could go and filter based on people who want to be scouts and whatnot. All right, you're already part of a club, but you're really good. $5K in compensation. I don't think we can do that. What about Daniel here? All right. Now, you might still get, someone else might outbid me or something like that, but we've got a possibility. We're also going to want a head of sports science, because that's a good way to prevent some injuries. We may actually want the head of sports science and a sports scientist, I suspect. A really good way to keep those numbers under control. So that would be medical team, sports science, sort by that. So Steve Holland over here, for example, is currently in no club, free agent, excellent, wonderful. Sports science is 17. We're approaching to sign you. we want a head of sports science over here. I was going to say, you'll want a little bit more because it's an important job. Fair enough. Let's do that. And then let's grab James over here. Oops, misclicked. As a medical sports scientist. Yeah, so you wanted the under 18s, you weren't going to ask for as much money. But now, done. I mean, we probably need some people for the under 18s as well, but I'm less concerned to spend that right now. We'll take a look at some point, but there you go. So we've padded this out. I mean, we don't have a director of football, we don't have data analysts, but I don't think we need a director of football. I think the fitness coach was very, very, very important. Sports scientists will help us a lot. We want to reduce injuries as much as possible. Fixtures changes, okay. We can process a little bit just to see what happens. Season expectation, yes, we're looking to avoid relegation. We're going to keep all our expectations fairly low over here at this point. The training induction, we don't need to do the inductions over here. We're good, and the social feed is set up. All right, well, what we'll do is we'll put a cut in here. We'll be ready to advance some more. There'll be a bunch more little pre-set up questions here. We've got a first match against Brecon in 2 days. They're in League 1. So in theory, someone that we, should be able to beat on paper, but it's still pretty early on, and we've got an entirely new tactic to play with over here. So we'll see exactly how well people do. But that'll have to wait until next time. I'm very happy to be starting on some Football Manager again, and I hope you are as well. Next episode will be starting immediately after here. We will, going forward, probably not do every match as a YouTube video, just so that we can get through the season a little bit quicker, and hopefully do more than one season is what I'm looking forward to. But for now, the next episode will start right away as we're going through this setup phase, and almost certainly we'll show the Brecon match, just so we can get a sense of our tactic and get a feel for our players. Thanks for watching. See you next time.